Welcome to the Flore Fantasy and Sci-Fi Lore. We are still in Fallout. In this episode, we're going to be covering our entrance into the Brotherhood of Steel and an understanding of their hierarchy and the place that the Elders and High Elder Maxim have in that system at the moment. We'll talk about the war that they are preparing for and the mission they want to send us on now that we are an initiate. We will talk about our journey to the city of Adytum, the secret underground city that exists there, and the secret society of slaves and slavers. So if that is what you're looking for, this is the episode for you. Roll the intro.
Do you remember the first story that was so spellbinding it drove you to break the rules and stay up all night to keep reading, keep watching, keep playing? So good, you forgot your life and lived there?
So good. The moment it ended, you asked yourself, what next?
Welcome to the Flore. Our goal is to take you back, take you deeper, to explore and understand more, and relive that childlike wonder.
Join us as we dive deep into humanity's greatest stories, no matter how they are told, through books, movies, television, even games.
One of us does an in-depth research on the topic. One of us is familiar with the topic.
And one of us knows nothing. So the right questions will always be asked and addressed for anyone coming into the topic, regardless of how much you know.
Enjoy another world, another adventure, another spellbinding story. Join us on the Flore. We are back for part 4 of our Fallout 1 series as we follow through with the lore and the narrative. So last time we talked about the water wars that took place in the hub. We visited the necropolis and the glow to gather the essential item we need to get into the Brotherhood of Steel.
Aaron's back. Yay, back.
Yeah, so as far as know-nothings go,
He is
I am
in the know-nothing world.
and I know nothing. I missed all of that stuff.
So we returned to the Lost Hills with the information and items from the glow that prove we were there, right? We encountered the Brotherhood of Steel team that died there. Now, we will learn more about this team. So what happened is after the Brotherhood of Steel left the Mariposa military base. So the Mariposa military base is where the FEV virus was being studied and tested. That is where under Roger Maxim, the group rose up and rebelled against the U.S. military, right? They then leave that base and travel south to the Lost Hills bunker, where they set up what will become the Brotherhood of Steel. Upon arriving in the Lost Hills, the early team that arrived with Maxim, there was a small group that wanted to go all the way down to the West Tech facility that is now the Glow to get the best technology they could from that facility and bring it back. Maxim was against that. He says, no, we need to fortify, we need to set up, we need to get water and food systems going. We do not need to worry about that. Under that disagreement, that group still left. And we did notice when we were reading the holotapes, they signed off as U.S. military, not Brotherhood of Steel, because the Brotherhood had yet to be formed. But it was in their records that they had gone down there. And so they knew that there was still stuff that they wanted there. And that's why they send us, because their other teams have failed to get into the Glow and succeed.
And they'll do a lot for old tech. Old tech is their gold, Mike.
Yeah. So we brought back the holotapes and a couple pieces of weaponry and armor, proof that we've been to the West Tech facility, which earns us the rank of initiate in the Brotherhood of Steel at this time. So we are finally able to enter the barracks where they are preparing for war, right? There have been a growing number of super mutants that the Brotherhood of Steel has not noticed necessarily super mutants, but they have noticed attacks. They have heard the stories of missing caravans, and they are fairly certain that this is someone building up an army, and they are preparing for war.
An army of super mutants.
Not yet. So
Oh,
they have a super mutant that they are autopsying, but they don't know that is the army that is preparing.
okay.
So within the Brotherhood, we are given basic initiate weapons and tools. We can get some of the lighter armor, not the power armor, fancy stuff, but we can get some good armor. They'll issue us a weapon and some ammunition for that weapon.
You've got a laser pistol.
Yeah, I think energy pistols are the most powerful we can get this time from the Brotherhood. Within the bunker itself, we will encounter the scribes, the historians. We did a whole episode on the Brotherhood of Steel. They will fill us in on a lot of that history here within the bunker. And finally, on the bottom floor, we will encounter High Elder Maxon. This is the grandson of Roger Maxon, who founded the Brotherhood. Right. And it kind of feels like a nepotism thing if you know that going in, be like, wait, like, is this like a kingship they're handing down? But we get this story from them. Elder Maxon actually was a paladin, and that's what he loved doing, right? So within the Brotherhood, as it currently exists, we will see these roles shift later. But scribes are, of course, in charge of all kinds of science and tech and medical, right? That's the job of the scribes. Knights fall into a couple groups. Some knights are engineers and others are in training to become paladins. And then paladins are the ones who wear the power armor and go out into the wastes.
So he's a bit like a mascot. His favorite place is to wear the suit.
So, well, he was a very good paladin. It's what he liked to do. It's what he loved. And then the Council of Elders reaches a standstill, and they have ground to a halt in decisions for the Brotherhood for so long that they need someone to come in and break the tie. And so they ask Maxon to do it. It's like, you're a respected paladin and you have the name recognition that if we appoint you High Elder. And so High Elder is not like he's in charge of the Brotherhood, everything. It's almost like he's the vice president, right? He has very little to no power, but he can break a tie with the council. But because of all of this status, he can kind of push some of his own agendas. So the Brotherhood has found the body of a super mutant and is performing an autopsy on this.
So, super mutant, tell me about that real quick.
Super mutant has nothing to do. So super mutants are humans that have been exposed to what is called the forced evolutionary virus. They grow taller, like they pick up almost 2 feet in height. They become just massive hulking structures of strength, right? If we're talking stats in the Fallout world, average is 4. They all have 10. They are just absolute brutes.
Can you play this one?
Not in this game.
Yeah, in other games you can.
In other games you can. So like I said, they take a human, they expose it to the forced evolutionary virus. You get like insane hit points and endurance. They're immune to all diseases. They stop aging. They can't die of old age. They do become sterile, and they all kind of look the same. And if you have exposure to radiation that has corrupted your DNA before you're exposed to it, you also become stupid, and you lose all your memories.
You lose all your memories regardless. So
Regardless, but
when
the stupid
you become
part,
a super mutant,
yeah,
you're born anew. You are a new person.
So there's a
You could
guy.
be like a new smart person, or you could be a new, depending on
And that matters if you've been exposed to a heavy dose of radiation beforehand.
So if the radiation
World, everybody's been exposed to a heavy dose of radiation.
So everyone except the vault dwellers, right? So the people who are in the vaults right now have not been exposed to radiation. And so the people making the super mutants, they want those people because they're going to come out super smart, not super dumb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Smart.
That's what the super mutants are. So the Brotherhood of Steel have a super mutant that they are autopsying, and you can read through the detailed report. There are some interesting details in this report. This mutant was shot several times by some kind of ballistic weapon and bitten by what looks like a dog. And so it really does sound like we killed him, right? You're like, oh yeah, we have a dog and we shoot mutants. That's our style. That's how we roll. So, but yeah, so they have this creature that they're very interested and curious about. And so Maxon believes that this army is marshaling up in the north. He wants us to go and investigate and bring back evidence that he's right. The Council of Elders also wants us to go north and investigate and bring back evidence that Maxon is wrong because, they don't want this. Well, they disagree with him, right? So with those two pieces of information, it's just going to go north in general. But in talking with the Brotherhood, we learn about all the different places they trade with. And one of the places they trade with is a place called the Boneyard, where they make ammunition. And so this then becomes kind of like the only, not just wandering the waste, but we can actually go and do some research and find some things out. Along the way, we will rescue an initiate of the Brotherhood who was kidnapped by a couple people within the hub. If we bring him back, we can get access to power armor at that point. So arriving in the Boneyard, this is the Los Angeles Boneyard. So these are the ruins of the city LA, and it is built by the survivors who went into the demonstration vault that was in the center of the city. So this is the vault. Show it to rich actors, directors, and movie stars of LA. And so when
these people flock to it because they didn't actually have a vault, but they're like, hey, remember that demo? Let's go.
Well, and you get 2 hours, right? And LA traffic is at night. So, but it wasn't like a fully developed vault. A lot of radiation still got into the vault, and very quickly they opened the doors after the bombs have dropped, and they established the town of Adytum. When we arrive in Adytum, it has like a triple layer chain fence, barbed wire, like very protective on the outside. They build this city and they bring people inside of it. As I mentioned before, they have the tools and skills to build ammunition, which is their big export, right? They trade that to the hub and to the Brotherhood. And out of the hub, it kind of goes to most of the wasteland, but this is where most ammo comes from.
The ammo farm.
Yeah. So they were largely self-sufficient with the tech they brought out of the vault with them. They were able to build wells, hydroponic farms, underground facilities. But that equipment has started to fail. And so now they're getting all their food and all their water from the hub. And the hub saw the sudden increase in demand and realized, they're not self-sufficient anymore. We can charge more because they have to trade for this now. So the hub are now doing that kind of, extracting money from them that way. As we speak with people within the town, we will encounter a few people of note. Caleb, who is in charge of what is called the regulators. This is the guard of the town of Adytum. They have fairly high-powered weapons. They're wearing combat armor. Caleb does not seem to like the people he protects, but unless he is in charge of the guards. And he mentions that they're having trouble with raiders. And if we look around the town, it's very interesting because, like the hub, we see some of these destroyed houses, roofs missing, walls missing, things we see that are the remnants of the water wars. But once again, we see it here in Adytum. And this is a result of just constant raider attacks. But also, as we explore the town of Adytum, we'll see that as you go inside these homes, there's usually like a hidden floor. And if you go down in there, it's a really nice home. And so what they have learned is that if the homes look destroyed and kind of burned out, raiders attack less and take less because they assume that, just
it's been raided.
It's been raided, yes. And so Adytum is very interesting in the way they chose that approach to it, right?
It's kind of like putting a bunch of duct tape all over your nice bike.
To make it look like a nanny. So, or like some fake rust on there,
Yeah.
Or what is it? Have you seen that? It's a car cover, but it looks like an old, rusty, beat-up car, right? And then you take it off and you have like your nice BMW underneath. That's kind of what Adytum is doing. We then meet the mayor of Adytum, who is not terribly bright, and he tells us about this group of raiders called the Blades that killed his son and spiked him on the wall while he was still alive. And so he wants vengeance. As we continue to...
Is he on the wall when you meet him?
There's a body there now.
Oh, so he's dead.
He's dead.
He wants vengeance, but he's dead.
So No, the mayor wants vengeance. The son is dead.
Okay.
So we will meet Samael and Lorraine in the city of Adytum as well. And these two tell a different story. They say that this is not a town. It's a slave camp pretending to be a town. That Zimmerman is an idiot, chosen because he's an idiot, and they can use him as a puppet. And the regulators are the slave keepers, right? That's the story they're telling us about the town of Adytum.
Can you kill everybody?
Yeah, it's always an option.
Always an option in Fallout. You can kill everybody. And so I think this is a really big point in Fallout, and even going forward, is that you will meet people who don't know the truth, and so you can't trust them. You will meet people who will lie to you intentionally. And it's just part of Fallout, is sorting through those things as people tell you, different stuff like this.
Yeah. So which route do you guys believe in that situation?
So we're going to cover
canon.
canon, right? Covering canon. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about this. So armed with the knowledge of the slaughter of the mayor's son, we can go and meet the Blades. Now, moving into the Blades territory, most of them are poor, on the edge of starvation. They're scavengers. Most of them are unarmed. Some of them might have a knife. And we have fought raiders, right? We wiped out the Khans. This does not look like a camp of raiders. Nobody's got armor, right?
They're really hard on their luck.
Yeah, this does not look like a camp of raiders. So we can track down their leader. And in meeting with the leader, she tells a very different story, right? She states that the mayor's son, Josh, and her were in a relationship. And that the Josh knew the truth about the regulators, and he wanted to tell his father. His father has not figured this out. Like I said, they have intentionally chosen him because he's not super intelligent, right? And so Josh, the mayor's son, tries to sneak back into the camp at night, and the regulators catch him, and they cut out his tongue so that he cannot talk. They spike him on the walls, and then they pretend to try and save them, but he can't tell anyone the truth because they removed his tongue.
Oof.
So, and she has a recording of the radio back and forth between Caleb, the leader, and the regulators actually doing this. So she's got proof that this is what they did. Because part of the illusion of Adytum is that because it looks like a town, they have a mayor, they don't have to capture everyone to enslave them. They can invite them in, be like, come live in our city. It's safe. And then you're a slave.
Tricks ya.
Tricks you. Yeah.
I stole freedom.
So the reason the regulators want us to get rid of the leader of the Blades is so that it's easier to enslave them. There's nobody organized. Because while they're not well armed, there is a lot of them. Right?
And they've all got some sight in them.
Yeah. Now, in order to support the Blades in their fight against the regulators, we need to help arm them. So there is a group of people called the Gun Runners who we will meet many times throughout the Fallout series. They are a group of weapon engineers who have found a old manufacturing facility surrounded by toxic waste. They build a little makeshift bridge across so that they can take it down whenever they want, so that no one can get into their base unless they let them, right? Particularly the Deathclaws that have a nest nearby.
This is a Fallout moat.
Yeah, it's a Fallout moat. Exactly, yeah. Just a pile of death there. So in meeting with them, the Gun Runners want us to get rid of the Deathclaws. They've got great weapons, but they're not fighters. Like I said, these are engineers, right? They're great at making weapons, not great at using them. So we eliminate the Deathclaw nest, and we cut a deal that the Gun Runners will supply weapons and armor to the Blades and retake the town of Adytum. And as further proof for everything that has gone down here, when the battle commences, the town people themselves attack the regulators and help fight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Get the whole town involved.
the whole town turns on me. Yeah. Everybody comes out to kill the regulators. So the regulators are killed. Now, in the town, after the battle, we will meet a fortune teller. The fortune teller will pull several cards and talk about, wisdom, and it's all very vague and mystic and everything. But for every card he pulls, he will also plug in a set of coordinates into our Pip-Boy. And within those coordinates, he will put in the coordinates for the Mariposa military base in the far northeast where Maxon wanted us to investigate. So now we have somewhere to go. Weller rallies his team, and we head deep into the wastes. Now, it's a long journey through open territory, and along the way, we will encounter multiple super mutants, but also other creatures. Among those other creatures will be the centaurs and the flatworms. And so the idea is that...
Now, when you say centaur, this is not the centaur people are thinking about.
No, this is not half horse, half man, not at all. So there's the idea that the master has been experimenting with the FEV virus in his experimentation, right? He's dumping humans, but the centaur, if you look at them, they have the head of a dog on one side. So they're a two-headed, eight-legged creature. So they have the head of a dog on one side and the head of a human on the other side, and a bunch of legs. And they run around, and they're very beefy and tanky. They take a lot to take down. The dog head will bite at you, and the human head will smash its skull into you, and it'll try to grab you because it's got like 4 arms and 2 legs, and they're just weird monstrosities. But they seem to be born out of some kind of either fusion with people who, either someone who went bad during the test, or maybe the master just took a dog and a human and dunked him to see what would happen.
Or maybe the dog just jumped in after him.
So, and there will also be the worms. And so these are flatworms that were exposed to the FEV virus. Now they're about as big as a man, right? And they spit poison and everything, but they're flatworms, so they reproduce asexually. So even after exposure to FEV, they can continue to reproduce.
Oh, no.
So there's a lot of them, and they kind of just never run out.
Hadn't thought of that. That's a tricky way to slip past the FEV sterilization.
Yeah. Tricky way to get past that. So that is the next chunk of our journey through Fallout. We will be heading to the Mariposa military base, beginning our investigation, and letting the Brotherhood of Steel know. And we will talk about how the Vault Dweller uses his cunning to get past an army of super mutants armed with miniguns, missile launchers, laser weapons, plasma pistols, flamethrowers. How do you get past them all? Right? Now, canon does not take the statement that you are just a one-man army gunning them down. Because if you level up enough, you can do that. But that is not the canon. The canon is a clever individual who really works hard to solve these problems in good ways. So we'll talk about how the Vault Dweller overcomes the army of super mutants in our next episode. So, as always, we leave you with the Wastelander's blessing. May the water you drink in the desert not shine at you in the night.
Do we have a treasure room?
What does that mean?
So if the water glows during the night, it's irradiated. So if you drink it during the day because you're thirsty, then at night you sleep, you're like, oh, that's irradiated. I'm gonna die.
Oh, okay.
Well, and you're glowing in the night, right?
Yeah.
So if you're glowing in the night when everything's out hunting for food,
That too, yeah.
like you're glow.
It will kill you. Also, other things will kill you. It doesn't.
Yeah. Drinking the glowing water is very bad, but you only know if it glows when the nighttime comes.
Or if you have a Geiger counter.
Yep. Cool. That's great.
Some treasure room question. So we talked about how encountering the centaurs, it becomes very clear that the master is experimenting with some kind of blend of exposure to FEV and the vat dunks. So what kind of things would you like to toss in there? And what do you think is going to come out? Because we're looking at a dog and a human, and we get a 6-legged, 2-headed creature, right? So, and then how would that creature fight? Because this is Fallout. We have other cool creatures. You got death claws. You got golden geckos, fire geckos. You got giant mole rats. You got rad scorpions. What other creatures you got in this world? You got ghouls, right? Or like, what happens if you take an existing super mutant and dunk them? We're going to talk about that in the treasure room. See what happens.
All right.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We have mentioned in the past that if you go to the Patreon page, we have collections of all the different worlds and pieces of lore we have covered. For example, if you want everything we have ever done about Baldur's Gate, from the invention of D&D to Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance, all of that, you can find individual collections for all of those, or just one big collection containing all of Baldur's Gate or all of D&D. So everything we have covered, Eberron, Marvel, DC, Aliens, Xenoverse, Cyberpunk, Dune, and more. We have collections for each of those worlds. And I do want to mention that on the Patreon, the only thing behind the subscription is the treasure room content. Anything that has been released in the podcast for free is still free there. It is just a better organization of the information that the podcast app doesn't let us do. They are just a big list, and you just got to type in your search words. On the Patreon, there are tags for everything. You got fantasy, D&D, creature features, Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance, all of that. Just an individual tag for those episodes. And as I said, we do have collections just to make this as easy as possible to find what you're looking for. We have learned in the past that a lot of people who listen to the Flore, they're interested in one or two of the worlds, and they may check out one or two of the episodes when we switch worlds, but they're really just mostly interested in that. So we just want to consolidate everything you're looking for to make it just as easy as possible to access. So check that out just to make your life easier. And we are working at making sure you can download any of the free episodes there. So even if you're going to lose Wi-Fi or connection, you can get the episodes you want before that happens, or just not burn your data while you're traveling to and from work or whatever else is you do while you listen. And thank you. I hope you continue to enjoy the show.